Hey, guess what? It is Rise and Thrive Together this Monday evening, the first Monday that we're together in June. It is June 5th, 2023. I am one of your hosts, Regina Rossi, and my co-host, Dr. Raquel Stuart. Whoop, whoop. We are so excited to have you here tonight. We are going to get hot. We are going to have such an amazing evening. And just to remind you guys, we are here every Monday live, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please check out our social media sites. It's Facebook, Rise and Thrive Together. Check out that beautiful logo up above. And we are also Rise and Thrive Together on Instagram. And we are super excited to have our YouTube channel along with Roku TV. Laws of Life with Blanca, which the replay will be on there. And then both Dr. Raquel and I have it streaming live on our personal Facebook page. So enough about that. We're psyched. It is June. It is 6 months into 2023. Sis, I mean, can you believe this? I cannot even believe that we're here and we're 6 months in. So we've got some great conversation for tonight.
Awesome. So good to see you. I know you were on vacation. I am so psyched for tonight because it's our first guest and we are going to gut punch you because we are talking about money. We know 6 months in, half the year, our guest, I'll introduce her in a second, is going to take us through any corrections that we need to make to finish out the year 2023. If we have been on a roll and we're good, she'll just reinforce it and maybe give you something to think about. But super excited to have our first guest on, Miss Sharon Lewis. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, let me try to get a little closer so I can read. Sharon Lewis is a graduate of the University of Maryland Global Campus with a Master's of Science in Project Management and a Bachelor's of Business Administration in Operations Management from Baruch College in New York. Woo, woo. Sharon is a certified project management professional and holds the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority Series 6, 63, and 26 securities license registration from Maryland, New York, and a few other states. Sharon currently works as a financial representative with a Fortune 1000 company and helps families plan and save for their financial future. Sharon teaches families that the key to wealth is financial literacy. She is the founder of Fiscal Pink LLC, which educates families on healthy financial decisions. Sharon is the author of Daphne Dollar and Friends children's book. Daphne Dollar and Friends is a series of character books designed to encourage parents to open the doors to financial conversations with their children. Learning basic financial concepts is as important as teaching our children citizenship and community responsibly. It is never too late, too early, or too late to learn about money matters. Sharon is a mother of 3 and lives in Bowie, Maryland with her husband and children. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the stage Miss Sharon Lewis, Money Coach.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Hey,
Oh, we are
Sharon,
so
welcome to
excited,
Rise and Thrive
Sharon.
Together.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Sharon, you're going to take us, it's June. Some people make that New Year's resolution as to, I'm going to save, I'm going to do this with my money. And, sometimes we don't fully accomplish that. So, you are here to help us take us from June through the end of the year to manage our money better, to manage our money, because some people may not have been doing that, and to take us through so that we can build what you call a financial house, right?
That is correct. That is correct. And one thing I do want to say is, if you have not accomplished your goals, number one, do not beat up on yourself. You can always start over or start fresh, right? So we do set those goals in the beginning of the year, and then we fall short, like along with those goals of working out and everything else that we set when we're so
Yes.
excited on January 1. But I'm here to say that every day is a new day, and you have
Mm.
the opportunity to forgive yourself for what you did not accomplish and start new. As long as you have breath and you can, walk this earth and your health is in good order, you can still accomplish your goals. So, what I'm going to do is I want to talk about your financial house. That's what I want to touch on is how do you build your financial house? And these are simple steps that we talk to families about in terms of helping folks get to where they need to be. And where do you start first? Because when we talk about finances, most folks are like, oh my gosh, that's just a lot of information. So, the first step is life insurance, right? We want to talk about life insurance as your foundation. So, think about building a home. You're going to start with that foundation. If your foundation is not solid, then your home will crumble.
Mm.
So, life
Mm.
insurance is the financial foundation to building your home. And so when you think about life insurance, number one, you want to talk about, and we don't have time to do that here. What's the right type of life insurance, right? But then you
Mm.
want to also talk about, you want to look at how many years will it will that life insurance provide income for, because oftentimes we're misled in terms of the purpose of life insurance. We think it's just for burial, but actually it's much more. It's replacing an income, and those are some of the things we talk to folks about. And
Ooh.
so this go ahead, you can and so
No,
then
that's great. I'm like, ooh, replacing income. Keep it going. I'm like, keep
yes,
going.
yes, and you have to look, and we have a whole nice calculation on that. The next step when you're building your home, if you think of visually how builders build, right? They got to put that roof up, right? So our financial roof is the will, our power of attorney, medical directive, because we want our wishes to be continue to be withheld, as opposed to the government, right? And you
Mm.
don't want your
Ooh.
family or arguing over what they thought you said, right? So the
Ooh.
will, your power of attorney, and your medical directive are super and super important. How many times have we seen on the news where people pass away and they don't have these things, right?
Yes.
So those are some of the questions you want to ask yourself. Have you established a plan to ensure that your wishes are followed upon your death, right? And
Now,
then we're going to
Sharon,
move
can I
in.
jump in here for one
Yes,
second? So,
yes.
what if I don't have anything? What am I writing?
Uh,
What do I need a will for if I have nothing?
Well, every situation is a little bit slightly different. So there are some assets that folks can directly inherit that does not need to go through a will. But
Mm.
but what I would say, as you build your assets in your families, wills are something that you can consider. And then also, um, and there's certain things, even if you don't have a will, you want to follow a checklist to make sure the assets that you have can go directly to the person you designate. So there are things that you can do outside of a will if you're a single person and maybe you don't really have a lot of things going on. So yes. So, but
Cool.
that is something you can speak with. We can talk one on one about, to look at, well, what are your assets? What are your liabilities? Those type of things.
I'm going to
Okay.
jump in for a second
And
too,
not
sis.
people, right? People are not liabilities. We ain't talking about that. It's not that
Oh,
way. Sorry. Go on,
well,
sis. Go
yeah,
ahead.
this is all financial. Yes.
Yes, people. We're not talking people, but like, so Raquel knows, Sharon, that I personally have just gone through something with someone in my life that I love what you brought up about hey, maybe I don't have any assets, but what I really loved, which most people don't talk about, is a medical directive. So can
Mm.
we like
Yes.
just touch upon that for a second? Because the biggest piece is how I see a medical directive is how I choose. I love how
Yeah.
you said, like, so that the family gets those uncomfortable conversations, that at the end of the day they don't have to worry, like you said, he said, she said. It's written and most of them are simple medical directives. You can even download
Mm.
them for free, how I say I want to complete the rest of my life and how upon my death goes and afterward. Yes, correct?
Exactly. And that is correct. And sometimes if, the hospitals will ask you, do you have a medical directive, or they may say health proxy.
Mm,
And simply it lists out your wishes. Okay, do I want to be brought back to life? Are you going to try? I want you to try everything you can to make sure that I am brought back should something happen to me. Or some may say, well, I do not do any resuscitation. Just let me go as I wish. I do
mm,
not want to, do not try any measures to bring me back. And so, and you have to honor that person's wishes.
right.
And so that's where the medical directive and or health proxy comes into play, because when things are very emotional, that is the most difficult time to make financial decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or any type of decision. So you want to make sure you're talking to your loved ones. They know your wishes, and they have it documented as well.
Awesome.
So hopefully that helps you.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So now, the next step. So that's step 2. So we're going to move to step 3, which is the spending plan or budget. Some people, think that's a dirty word. When you hear the word budget, you be like, what did you just say to me? Right. But
Exactly.
really, in all honesty, a budget is just how you allocate your money. How are you
Mm,
allocating your money? How much is going to go to bills, how much goes to fun things that you want to do, savings, your debt. It's just literally a plan of how you allocate that. And sometimes you probably don't even realize you have a spending plan, because if you have a notebook and you're writing down how you're going to spend your paycheck, or
mm,
some sort of income you're receiving, that's a spending plan. So it
mm.
doesn't have to be super elaborate, and it doesn't have to be restrictive. So that's number 2. So then I'm sorry, number 3. And then the fourth one is the emergency fund. We recommend 3 to 6 months of your income and or expenses, whichever is greater, for you to have set aside. I know when you hear 3 to 6 months and you
What?
calculate what your income is, you're like, what? The good news is that you don't have to do it overnight. You can have a plan to put that in action for yourself, but work on the first $2,000, right?
Mm.
Because most emergencies, $2,000 will cover, your most immediate emergencies. So that's something that we recommend, is working on that. And so number 5 is debt.
So,
Having
Sharon, can I jump in for 1 second?
Yes, yes, yes,
Sorry.
yes.
So, my red bottoms are not considered an emergency
Yeah.
if I have to go to a funeral or a wedding. Sorry, a wedding. Let me say wedding. It's not an emergency, my 2000?
No, I love that you said that, because always make the joke of, if you know about that event, it is not an emergency. So emergencies are things that are unplanned. Okay. Your car broke down and you did not have a clue that you need a new engine or something like that. Right.
Gotcha.
So it's not, I didn't pay my utility bill. You knew you had a utility bill for months prior and every month. So we do want to classify what emergencies are. And so thank you so much,
I do want to jump in because we got some followers that are sharing. Odelia said, "Thank you so much." This really hits home for her because she just went through this with her mother, who passed
Mm,
away, who is in Israel. So, and then Chrissy wrote in, she's like, "This is exactly what I'm going through with my mom back in Israel. It was so hard." That's what Odelia said. And Chrissy said, "My paycheck spends itself, Sharon." My paycheck spends itself.
Yeah,
Laugh out loud.
Chrissy.
I
I'm like,
love that.
I get it. And I would put my 2 cents in because I was thinking while Raquel was talking about her little red, I was like, does my bail bondsman count as an emergency?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
a whole
I'm just,
different discussion.
Wait, sis, you are just asking, right?
I'm just
Yes.
asking. I'm just
Okay.
asking. to add a little lightness to this conversation.
Yes, and I really appreciate that because I think with money, folks, there's so much fear
Yeah.
and anxiety when it comes to money, and even within between couples, family
Mm,
members, and so we have to get comfortable talking about these topics. I remember when my grandmother passed away, and we all sat down and talked about our wishes. It was the most uncomfortable thing, but we did that. In a couple of situations, we were like side eyeing a couple of people. We were like, what? But you still have to have that conversation.
yes.
So, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I don't know if there are any other comments on that one, but
No, but
I
I
can.
relate. Like I said, I relate. It's something that, I was just having a conversation with a call before this that was saying, like, what would it look like if we got comfortable speaking about the uncomfortable?
Oh,
Mm,
Like
yes.
a whole other, right? So thank you. Thank you for saying that, because that is something that most people are not comfortable. Money
right.
is like such a uncomfortable conversation. And then now add money on top of like the uncomfortable conversation of how I want my wishes to be, you know, if I passed away. Those are, and that
Exactly.
just like you said,
Absolutely.
triggers more. So thank you for that. All right, keep it moving up this
Exactly.
beautiful house. I love it.
Yes, yes. So the next step we need to, and guys, a lot of these steps can be worked in parallel. So don't think, oh, I'm going to do step one and I'm not going to work on the other steps. You can work on a lot of these items in parallel. So debt is what I consider is the financial cancer. And simply,
Mm,
we want you
Oof.
just to have a plan to get out of debt. Like, do you know your debt free date? When are you going to be totally out of debt? And you can focus on your credit card debt. And if you have a mortgage, you can, focus on the mortgage. But we actually show you how to develop a strategy to get out of debt faster.
well,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and and then for those who go in out of debt all the time, you pay off debt, you get back in it. That's a whole that's a whole separate webinar.
We might
Well,
have to have you come back.
Yeah,
yes.
guys, and I tell folks, I've experienced these situations personally, so I'm speaking from experience, and that's why I can laugh about it because I understand it, right?
Mm,
And then the final part is just really, focusing on those other goals and dreams. Retirement. Do you know how to duplicate your paycheck in retirement? Nowadays, if you're not working for the government, you are in charge of your future for retirement. And so if you don't have a plan to figure out how do I duplicate my paycheck when I retire, then you definitely should speak with a financial professional and let's look at these things. And I know sometimes it's uncomfortable, but we just have to face the fact, and sometimes we're in a position to make a change, and sometimes the smallest change is all we need to do to get on track, right?
ooh,
So, we talk about focusing on your retirement, your investment accounts, and college funds for your kids. Guys, we should be, and I know some folks may disagree, but if you do not have a retirement plan, but you have a college fund for your child, you need to switch that around, right? Because your kids can
Ooh,
apply for student
mm,
loans, but you
yes.
cannot apply for a loan for retirement. So
Bye
we
bye,
need
Lexi. No
to,
college for you. No.
no, Lexi, it's college, but it's called a scholarship, or you better get to know Sally real well.
exactly. So, so these are the simple steps we talk to folks about in terms of prioritizing. Some, like I mentioned, can be in parallel, and some you can work in order. So I don't know if you guys have any other questions or anything from the audience or anything you want me to
I
check in.
do, because you said something really powerful. So what comes up for me is, um, the entrepreneur, right? Like the solopreneur part of it now. Because when back in the day, when I had the job and worked for the nonprofit and the paycheck came in, I was it occurred to me as much like I knew exactly what I was bringing in month to month. But as an entrepreneur, it's not always like that, right? So that was amazing. And like that feeling of living paycheck to paycheck, right?
Mhm.
Like that, like, I'm like, oh, for example, oh, I brought in $1,200 today, right? So I love what you helped me figure out because the occurring is paycheck to paycheck. But when I have that house, like that, what you were saying, and I'm like, that debt and this and this and this, and I can say, okay, well, sure. I mean, food is obviously important, right? But then I could say this amount is, and I'll know what my debt is of credit card, right? So I know, like, boom, that goes to that mortgage, whatever that may be. So that really helped me with the house because most of it occurs in my head as this paycheck to paycheck. Where do I put it? How do I spend it? But like that house really helped me go, oh, okay, retirement, where's my debt? Where's my thing? And I can kind of plan it that way. But I just
Exactly.
wondered if there's anything else you'd want to share with anyone who is out there who is an entrepreneur and it occurs to them as like, well, hey, Sharon, that sounds really nice, but like, I don't know how my money flows every month. Could be a big month and one month not. So what do I do then?
Definitely. So one of the, that is a challenge. One thing I do say is, paying yourself first. I
Mhm.
know because oftentimes we pay our business first. So we have to treat ourselves like a paycheck. So just, think about so taking that 10% off the top, and that's the 10% you want to set aside for either retirement or your emergency fund. I think if you start at 10% and then everything else you allocate to wherever it needs to go. So it is a disciplined approach, self-disciplined approach, but that's what I would strongly recommend. As you get paid, make sure you're putting aside that 10% first to
Love it.
yourself.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Nice.
Um,
So let me
we
get
have
to some of the.
Yeah, Chrissy wanted to put in there that she's really excited. She's winning because she has her burial plot paid for. So that was
Nice.
Nice.
really,
Nice.
so she wrote, I'm winning. And then Odelia wrote in that she has this book that called The Last Taboo, Money as Symbol and Reality in Psychotherapy and Psychoanalysis by David W. Kruger. So, that
Yes.
conversation, as we say, money, right? That last, so,
And
that was as
Susan
well.
already has her plot paid for as well, but not her funeral.
Got you.
Mm.
Got you.
So we
Yes.
got some
Yes.
savvy women.
Yeah.
Men, if you're out there, y'all better jump in and drop some comments because the women on point.
But
Yeah, I
guy,
think Susie just put something else in. I don't know what she put in because it disappeared. I got Susan's right now saying me too, but not my funeral.
yeah.
And yeah, all those little things, however that
Oh,
may
Chrissy's
be.
being cremated, no funeral.
Oh, well, that I mean, but even cremation is costly. So you have to
Yes.
drill
It costs a
drill
few
down
hundred
to,
dollars.
okay, what type of cremation, because we cremated my mom and we got a nice hefty bill with that too. So
Wow.
yeah, so you want to be
Yeah.
very specific with that.
Oh
Chrissy
my
just
God.
wrote that her husband told her she didn't have to go back to teaching. So I know Chrissy for a long time and she's a teacher and she's been working on this life plan and really finding what brings her joy. And she goes, I could sub per diem, but that's so scary. So that goes into so she could sub per diem and then it's not that regular salary that you get every month. And I know that you can speak upon that, Raquel, right? Because Raquel and I jumped out together a whole career and left that to jump into what we love to do. And it's same thing, I think, for you, Sharon. This is your, your entrepreneur life, right?
Yes, it
But
is.
Yeah.
Sharon, do us
I
a
mean, and
favor. Can you
God,
give us how people can get in touch with you if they have questions, if they're interested in creating a will, or they need to get out of debt and they want to know, well, can I create a basket for my red bottoms?
yeah.
Can you give
You
them?
can. You can have a plan for those red bottoms. We'll talk about that.
Most
We'll
That's
put it
what
definitely
in the
question.
spending
That
plan.
that's off the side. Okay. So
Yeah.
how can our audience get in touch with you if they just want to know how to build their own house, or if they started and kind of got stuck, how can they reach you? Give us every avenue to reach you.
Okay, yeah. So my website is Sharon M. Lewis, Lewis.com. So you can, you know, access my website and book an appointment. And I am on Instagram as Sharon M. Lewis Money Coach. I'm also on Facebook as well. I have a Facebook group and it's called Money and Business. So you can contact me in all of those different platforms.
Awesome. And I'll say this, Sharon had a a money spent 90-day fast
90
spending.
days spending fast.
Yes.
Woo!
Yeah.
Is that happening now?
No,
Finished, right?
it ended in April, but it was brutal. We
Let me
had a
tell y'all,
whole
I
bunch of
got
people.
I think
So
I'm just suggesting it out there as we're in the middle of the year. Be interesting, especially with the holidays coming up. If you think brutal in the beginning of the year, those last few
yeah.
months, I would be totally interested in that one. And I also want to say, as a mom, because I work mostly with moms as a life coach. I love. Thank you, Raquel, for reminding me because it's been a while since I read your bio. Thank you for writing those books. So if
you're
they're on your
welcome.
website, I'm clear I'm going to buy them because that is the most, for me, speaking on my soapbox for the moment, and I can because it's our show, is that conversation, with children. So I didn't ask you what age you particularly, wrote the books for, but for me, it doesn't matter because I was raised starting young. My daughter is 6.5. Money conversation is, seen in the house, and to have these books where she can grow into and grow up and be in that conversation around it. I just really want to thank you for writing those books. So I'm just gonna, for all my listeners who've been around for
Where
a
can
really
folks
long
get the
time.
book, Sharon? Where can
Yeah,
Regina get the book and anybody else who wants to get it for their kids?
You can access the books on Amazon or any place the books are sold, but it's probably easier. You can go straight to my website, and
good.
it will take you directly there. So you can walk into Barnes and Nobles and just ask for the book. As long as you have the title, you can have it ordered directly and
Give us the
sent to
title
you.
again. What's the title?
So there's a series. So it's Daphne Dollars and Friends, financial education series, and so the books are for young readers ages 5 to 9. The reading level is very simple, easy level reading. It's the concepts that that we are trying to get across to the young kids, to teach them the simple money concepts, have those conversations, learning about money without them feeling like they're learning about money. And it, just stemmed from my experience in the field when I would talk to adults. And a lot of folks were just uncomfortable. And I was like, we shouldn't have these conversations as adults. We should have them as kids. Right. And
Right.
it just opens it up for them. So yeah,
Awesome.
thank you.
Sharon, we want to thank you so very much for joining us here at Rise and Thrive Together. This information was on point and timely, but talking about money always is. We just make it uncomfortable. So thank you so much for sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, hit Sharon up. You definitely, definitely want to at least have a conversation. You also want to grab those books for the little people in your life. All my little people are grown, but you definitely want to get the book. Go to Barnes and Nobles, go to Amazon, whatever it is. You want to get your financial house in order. So, Sharon, thank you so much for being a guest here. We truly appreciate it. Thank you,
Thank you so
Sharon.
much for having me.
That was so cool, right? It was
It
so
was
cool to
awesome.
Yes.
have.
It was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely cool to have Sharon on. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for joining us. We thank you so much for your support. We always do. We do not take our time with you for granted in any way. Remember, together we can rise and thrive. Till next time.